I wanted to ask you one cool teaching from the Kabbalah.
Mhm.
Is there one that really stands out to you that you're like, you know what, I really find interesting? And then we'll jump to super chats. Just something that you today go, that's one of my favorite things I find in the Kabbalah.
Yeah, I mean, what's a really great teaching in the Kabbalah that I think is really beautiful. I learned this actually just recently, and it's put very succinctly, but it was put by my friend Zevi from the channel Seekers of Unity, who's a dear friend of mine and a colleague. He's a great guy. But he pointed to the idea that in the Kabbalah, and he's absolutely right about this, that someone other than me, their physical need is my spiritual need. Which is to say, if someone needs something like food or housing or shelter or whatever, then that has to become a spiritual need for me. That has to be something I need to fix. And so I like the idea that that in a very deep way, Kabbalah teaches that we're all connected, that the universe is all connected, the world's all connected in some fundamental way, and that what we do in this world has ramifications well beyond us. Now, Zevi's doing a cool thing, by the way. He asked, it's the largest philosophical collaboration in all of YouTube. He's going to all the major philosophy and religion channels and asking them, does philosophy have meaning in the modern world? And they have 2 minutes to answer. So he's just going through, and it's just a really interesting kind of project. So, there are like huge channels on there. My little dinky channel is a bunch. So it's a funny kind of project. But I think that's a cool idea for me, that we tend to have the idea in America that we are like atomized individuals, right? The rugged individual, home on the range. I'm by myself and I'm free. As long as the government leaves me alone and people leave me alone, then I'm free. We think of freedom as sort of the ability to do nothing. But the Kabbalah says that's not freedom and that's not liberty. We're all connected. Everything's connected from this world to the divine realm. And everything that you do has an impact on everything else. So one of the big ideas in Kabbalah is being very careful about what you do and what you say, because it has ramifications that you can't control, and you're responsible even for the ramifications that you couldn't control. But you're spiritually responsible for those things. And so most of us have heard of the idea of bystander effect, right? You walk past a piece of trash on the ground because you expect someone else will pick it up. But there's there's an idea that says, no, like if you're the one seeing it, you're the one destined to pick it up. If you're the one seeing the need, you are the one ordained by God to fix it. Like the fact that you see it means that you're implicated in it. And so it's a teaching that I think is very powerful, because it means that responsibility is a giant web, as opposed to like, I'm just responsible for me, as opposed to like, no, like you're part of this whole thing. You need to get on board fixing it. And so I really appreciate that idea coming from Kabbalah. And I'm not a person who believes in mystical
I
stuff or
see
whatever.
practical implications from that is so rich. I mean, we do live in this kind of, in America at least, the idea, I notice this in different traditions, because my sisters married into Spanish or Mexican families. And so they're very tight knit. The grandmother and the parents, they all live in like the same house or the house next to the same house. They all are, as we would say, how our ancestors evolved together as units. And like my dad moved as far away as he could from his mom and dad with our family. My mom moved away as well. They became military, military brats. We relocated, but we weren't connected like that. And I see the practical implication, whether you think the ontology is true, there's something about, even if you wanted to redefine God in the context and go, you have to live with your own awareness of this, do something. Because there is a reward to oneself in this. And I find that is true. So there's that aspect of religion that I think we should always keep. We should have that. We shouldn't move past these things. So when I hear people speak and they say, hey, I'm religious, or I come from religion, and they speak of these kind of practical implications that I see are very rewarding and necessary for us as humans, I kind of inside go, amen. I may not attribute this to thinking there's really this like man upstairs with a checklist, or even if it's not even that much, like I think there's some divine force that's involved. I myself, have to live with myself. And so I have kind of reinterpreted some of these models of what we used in biblical or even like religious language. And I still see myself, my own consciousness, as something that I need to answer for to myself, if that makes sense. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm
I
with
think
you,
that, yeah, I think that I don't think there's anything. Look, truth is truth. Averroes says that truth cannot contradict the truth. And I think that if there is a truth to be found in religion, then it can be found in secular life too. And to me, it speaks powerfully to me because it's just in my tradition. That doesn't make it any more or less true. The true is just the true, but it's a way of anchoring it in a language that, comes from my ancestors, and, it's the way that we talk. It's like, so for me, I don't think it has to be rooted in a religious language,
right?
Religious discourse, religious ontology, because if it's true, it's true. That's just the way the truth functions. Just like, people say, well, religion can justify all kinds of dreadful things. I'm like, yeah, it absolutely can, but so can secularism. I mean,
Right.
Hitler and Stalin were perfectly secular, and were more than happy to massacre millions of people. So for me, the question is not whether it's, secular or religious. The question is whether it's true. And if it's true, then we can use the work of religion or philosophy to sort it out. But I'm not, I don't want to be, because again, I'm not a supernatural believer in a God. I don't believe in anything like that. And so the question for me is like, what is not just what is true, but also what is meaningful. And meaningful has as much to do with art and history and aesthetics as it does anything else.
Yeah, and I found that teaching is pretty beautiful, the way that that's described, and we don't have enough of that, right? So that's a good thing to live by.